Republicans obviously seizing on this horrific tragedy at the University of Georgia. This girl, this nursing student, killed by an undocumented Venezuelan migrant, and they're seizing on this as an example of Biden's failure to protect the American people and to secure the border.
How dare they? How dare they point out what is obviously true? Jake Tapper at CNN, it's his job to hit the truth in the back of the head with a shovel and bury it in a shallow grave near Las Vegas, Nevada. We have an anti-truth media. They are out of the closet, dressed like Queen Victoria, frauds, Democrat Party bootlicks. I use bootlick because it's clean. Our Democrat Party. Yeah, and the radio and television, this is just amazing. The industry honoring the woman at CBS News that just fired one of the great investigative journalists in the United States, America, for nothing. Sure, the Radio Television Digital News Association, the RTDNA. It used to be the RTNDA, the Radio Television News Directors Association, but now they're digital. And I think that means they're diddling with their fingers. Isn't that digital? Because that's they had to change it because it was RTNDA, now it's RTDNA, and now it's completely different. Now communists run it, I think. I actually have the RTNDA used to give out the Edward R. Murrow Award. Now the RTDNA gives out the Edward R. Murrow Award. I assume they're going to give it to Iranian and Russian journalists this year. I actually was awarded the RTNDA's Edward R. Murrow Award myself for my reporting on September 11th, 2001. You may recall there were radical Islamic jihadi terrorists attack that day, plural attacks that day. And I have the Edward R. Murrow Award myself. It's a lucite block, just to be clear. And, they give it out for stuff like that. But now they changed their name. So Ingrid Cyprian Matthews, the CBS News president that fired Catherine Herridge, one of the most respected reporters in the business, is now being honored by the news directors, and that's getting their First Amendment award. No sense of irony. Isn't that amazing? Your Democrat Party, your media, one and the same. Truly amazing stuff. Out of my friends in Chicago, Illinois, another crazy story from Vinny D in Chicago, Illinois. Extraordinary news. Not one child tested proficient for math in 67 Illinois schools. Mark Glennon wrote the story. That's, the Democrats are doing a heck of a job here, aren't they? That's because it's the school-to-prison pipeline that the Democrats have created. I think they might be racists. In 2023, there were 67 Illinois schools that produced not one single student that tested proficient in math, and 32 more schools where no student tested proficient in reading. But they know how to be transgender. They've got they're gender fluid, a lot of gender fluid, and they cross-dress and they know how to twerk while dressed as women, and they go to after-school Satan Club, which the Democrats sponsor across the country. The Democrat Party is demented, honestly. Yes, sir. Yet those schools graduated nearly 70% of their students. Completely, you're not proficient in math, not proficient in reading, but you graduate anyway. Because, what was it Judge Smales said? The world needs ditch diggers too, you know. I think that's it, right? Yeah, what was that? Caddyshack, Judge Smales, the world needs ditch diggers too. And the school system in Illinois is going to produce a lot of ditch diggers.
I plan to go to law school after I graduated, but looks like my folks won't have enough money to put me through college.
Well, the world needs ditch diggers too.
And the Illinois educational system is going to produce a lot of ditch diggers. That's That's pretty good stuff. Now, Baltimore is worse. Washington, D.C. is no better. And the one-word explanation for all that is Democrats. Let's be honest. That explains everything. Rioting, looting, carjacking, Walgreens closing down in your neighborhood. Oh, no, now we live in a drug desert. You just buy from your local crack dealer like Hunter Biden does. Don't plague me with your petty problems. Slipping into Judge Smales. Judge Smales. Ted Knight. Funny stuff, that movie. Caddyshack. All right, it's Mailbag Day. It's Mailbag Day. Let's get to the mailbags, and we've got the border. I've got the border still ahead. A lot of border news because the Democrats like more crime. But first, the mailbag. Mailbag questions today from Robert. Robert sends in the question: Chris, do you feel more comfortable on the Newsmax show lately? Your humor is a bigger part of the show now, and it's really gotten good. The show's always been informative, but now I laugh more at the Right Squad than I do at SNL, at Saturday Night Live. Thanks, he says. That's not me saying thanks. That Robert said thanks, in all caps with an exclamation mark. Said, now I laugh at the Right Squad more than I do at Saturday Night Live. Well, thank you very much, Robert. And let me say that, the show is and will continue to be a work in progress. And the panel is evolving a bit, and it still changes a lot. The panel changes a lot. But I'd say, Robert, that you are correct, that we're having more fun doing the show, and there are certain things that I've left behind, and certain things we're doing more of. And I am doing more just kind of off the cuff jokes and satire. I think you're a very astute consumer, Robert. You are correct. And I'm benefited by the fact that Saturday Night Live isn't funny. So that helps me a lot when it comes to being funnier than Saturday Night Live. That's not setting the bar very high. But I'd say, first of all, thank you. And I think the show it continues to improve, get better, get smoother, it gets more comfortable. And maybe I do too. Who am I to judge me? I really can't judge my own performance. I'll leave that to other people. But I would say yes, more comfortable, and more humor is getting through. I'd say all of that is true. Not everyone there has a sense of humor on the panel, so let me say that. But it's Washington, D.C., not known for the funniest people in the world. Some of them unintentionally funny, but usually unintentionally funny. So we got that. Robert, thank you. Then CD, it's C. Duff. CD Uff or C. Duff. Do you think woke AI will kill us all to stop climate change? Climate change in quotation marks from C. Duff. Do you think woke AI, and we're learning more and more about this AI. AI is not really AI. It's corrupt. The left got in the door early with artificial intelligence. Kamala Harris is our artificial intelligence czar, something that she's perhaps perfectly suited for. Do you think woke AI will kill us all to stop climate change? AI is a danger to civilization, and it goes to what Lara Logan was talking about earlier. And again, we're posting the Lara Logan video that we shared with you. We shared the audio portion with you because we're on the radio. But I do think that woke AI has been dominated by left-wing Silicon Valley, rich, spoiled brat, leftist lunatics with private jets who want to dominate the conversation and the world. And AI is not something that should be trusted by anyone. Look, our Google searches are so corrupt that when you use a Google search for something about Joe Biden or Donald Trump, you're going to get more than 10 times as many responses that are left-wing Democrat Party propaganda. Then you're going to get conservative media responses or links to anything conservative. Google has been corrupted by the left. That means the Democrat Party. AI, artificial intelligence, came out of the womb corrupt. It is so corrupt, artificial intelligence. And climate change, yeah, AI, you've seen this stuff where, like, you ask it a question, show me shoplifters, and it's all white women dressed in Gucci clothes who are 30 years old and have $200 haircuts, and they're the shoplifters. Now, we've all seen the videos, overwhelmingly mobs of young black, mostly males, robbing and looting stores and filling grocery bags, and the security guards not stopping them. But AI will tell you that every shoplifter in America is a white woman with blonde hair and her brunette friend, and they're 28 years old and very attractive, and $200 haircuts and wearing $1,000 in clothes, which you should presume are stolen. The left got through the door on AI, and it was born corrupt. Everything about it. It's not just climate change, it's politics, more importantly, because that's about power, right? But yeah, C. Duff, it's corrupt, and will it kill us all? I wouldn't rule out the possibility just yet. Might be a little early. Ray asks, do you play golf? That's a short and direct question. The truth is, my best girl is a great golfer, and she was a big golfer when we met long ago, 30 years ago now. 30 years ago this month, when we first started shacking up, as a matter of fact. Then we got married 4 years ago. I was on probation. for a while. Do you play golf? Now, my best girl, great golfer, has a hole-in-one, has one of the most natural swings you've ever seen. Because she came along in Washington, I started golfing, but I didn't start golfing until I was an adult. I didn't grow up golfing. And I became, not exactly a scratch golfer by any stretch of the imagination, but double bogey golfer, double bogey, because I only play very infrequently and, not a bad swing. And I learned to stop caring. And then I became a much better golfer, a more relaxed golfer when I stopped caring and really not keeping score. I get a couple of, pars. I even get a birdie now and then, have a beer, a nice time. I love golf. And now we got to get back to it. Things have been a little weird the last few years. We haven't golfed, but we're talking about getting back on the golf course. Kelly asks, who cleans up Hillary's mess when she wakes up face down on the linoleum, kitchen floor in a pool of her own crusty vomit next to an empty box of cheap New Zealand Chardonnay? That's what Kelly wants to know. Well, certainly not Hillary. She doesn't clean it up. They have staff at their multi-million-dollar mansions in Chappaqua, New York, and off of Embassy Row in Washington, D.C., just off of Mass Ave. They have servants that clean it up. She doesn't clean up anything. Except maybe Vince Foster, that Vince Foster problem, she cleaned that up. But certainly she doesn't clean it. They have staff. They have millions and millions of dollars, other people's money, a lot of it from Russia. Russia. They pay other people to clean it up. Justin asks, it seems to me that the Supreme Court basically destroyed Republicans in many races by torpedoing Roe versus Wade. Would you agree, Chris? Well, I got to say, I learned in college that Roe v. Wade was based on very flawed law, very flawed case. And my very left-wing professor who taught me this, Dr. David Lawyer at Santa Barbara City College, Dr. Lawyer, explained that it was bad law, that it was going to be overturned. Republicans wanted it overturned. And overturning it just throws it back to the states, and the states then make their own laws. It's what Republicans wanted all along. Now, there are some restrictions being imposed, nothing too draconian in most cases. Democrats really love death more than we love life, though. Did the Supreme Court cause trouble for Republicans? Yes. But now Republicans get to stand up for the principles that they have championed for so long. And I'm okay with having that debate in the United States of America on abortion and timelines and all that. Jim asks, where is Biden getting all his money for student loan forgiveness? I thought Congress had to authorize expenditures. Well, and the Supreme Court ruled that Joe Biden couldn't do it. Democrats ignore the law. Democrats don't believe in the law. They don't follow the law. They don't respect the law. They don't care about the law. It's like that Obama cash from that Obama stash that they talked about, right? They just take it, and Congress has said you can't do that. The Supreme Court has said you can't do that. Joe Biden does it anyway because he's buying votes of people. You know, there's there are all kinds of amazing things to be said about this, but it's a criminal activity by Joe Biden and the Biden administration. And the news media is fine with it because they're Democrats too, and all Democrats are corrupt now. It's the arrangement that they've reached. I know. Our mailbag. Thank you for the questions today. This would be a good time to make sure that you always have delicious Omaha steaks on hand in your house with the all-new Omaha Steaks subscription program. You choose the foods, the steaks, the other foods, the quantities, the frequency with which these foods will be delivered. You enroll today to omahasteaks.com/plant. That's me, omahasteaks.com/plant, Plante, to lock in an extra 10% off every subscription order. Plus, you get free Omaha Steaks burgers on all recurring shipments for life. You can thank me later. And with every third shipment, they're going to send you a free gift valued at $19.99 or more. So going on vacation, you need to skip a month? No problem. They take care of that without any questions. Change your selections? No problem. Pause the program. Cancel at any time. Listen, growing up, I used to envy my neighbors getting their Omaha Steaks delivered. Now, I get Omaha Steaks delivered to my house. With Omaha Steaks, every purchase is backed by their unconditional money-back guarantee. You just go to omahasteaks.com/plant to lock in your price, plus get that extra 10% off because you hang with me. That's great stuff. And get the free burgers, too. Minimum purchase and restrictions may apply. Visit omahasteaks.com/plant to enroll today. Yes, sir. Yeah, Joe Biden, he doesn't need the law. The law doesn't apply to him. Ask his son, Hunter. Ask his brother, James. How do you think they got so rich? Congress looks into it. The media attacks Congress. That's how corrupt our media is. Hey, it's Chris Plant. Excited to tell you about our July 2024 Listener Sea Cruise. We'll be sailing around the British Isles, visiting Scotland and Ireland. Please join us. Visit chrisplantcruise.com. Yeah, Joe Biden and the student loan forgiveness. It's not forgiveness, it's corruption. It's third world banana republic corruption. A great meme going around today. Student loan forgiveness doesn't forgive the loan. It just transfers the loan to people who never asked for a loan, never agreed to a loan or signed papers getting a loan, or benefited from the loan. That means, suckers like you and me out here in America, we're going to pay off loans for people that went to Harvard to learn how to be anti-Semites because the left has power and it's there to be abused. Speaking of which, the Democrats like the pirate Jamie Raskin out there and the Chinese spy Swalwell saying everybody's a Russian agent. Now, Republicans really need a lot of help with what we call messaging, don't they? The crazy, insane, transgender, drug-addicted Democrat Party, they latch onto a crazy talking point and they stick to it like they'll die if they don't keep repeating it. Everybody's a Russian asset. Tulsi Gabbard's a Russian asset. The Speaker of the House is a Russian asset. Donald Trump is a Russian asset. Now, there's not a shred of anything that would substantiate any of it. They make it up in their demented, drug-addled little brains, and they stick to it like it's their source of oxygen. Absolute madness. And I've got a bit of the Democrats on Capitol Hill because Hunter Biden is up on Capitol Hill under oath today. Republicans, not Democrats, are looking to get to the bottom of the Biden family corruption, and there's a great deal of it. The Democrats would self-immolate outside the Capitol. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? Maybe Eric Swalwell, who's a Chinese operative, he's a Chinese agent. Just ask Fang Fang, the Chinese intelligence operative that he had sex with for years, who got him from a small-town city council seat to the Intelligence Committee in the House of Representatives in Washington. Fang Fang, very good at her job. Swalwell, communist agent. And Republicans should call him that every single day. Every time he walks by, they should call him a Chinese agent and ask him, where's Fang Fang? But they're just not good at that. They Marcus Queensberry rules for the Republicans and scorched earth Joseph Stalin rules for the left. They're not liberals. Let's take a phone call, and then we'll get to the crazy immigration stories, of which there are many. Let's go to Jonathan, calling from Colorado, one of our great American states. Jonathan, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Chris.
Hey,
Love
how
your
are you?
Show.
Thank you.
I'm doing fine, thank you. I was just calling to question some of Nikki Haley's math.
Uh-huh.
She said that 40% of Republicans in the primary didn't vote for him, and he couldn't win the national election with those kind of numbers. And I said, well, if these are Republicans, aren't they going to vote for him in the national election too?
Well, one would certainly hope. You know, the Democrat Party's plan is to create so much hatred, and they're good at that too. Hatred, violence, rioting, burning, arson, carjacking, various forms of assault. The Democrats are good at those things, and they're good at corrupting our elections with mail-out ballots and changing, like in Pennsylvania, changing state law on a county level, which they're not allowed to do. The ballot harvesting and ballot box stuffing. And then when you learn their fingerprints on the ballots, you wear surgical gloves the next time you stuff the ballot box, like in Atlanta, Georgia. There's video of it, and our news media ignores it. And the Democrats say, of course you stuff ballot boxes with mail-out ballots and ballot harvesting in the middle of the night with people we hire to go from ballot box to stuff ballots with surgical gloves so their fingerprints aren't on it. And the New York Times reports that they're wearing surgical gloves in Atlanta because it's cold. And people are so dumb in Atlanta that they wear surgical gloves for warmth on Election Day. You know, will the people that are voting for Nikki Haley... Now, also, there's another trick in here, Jonathan, and you're doubtless aware of this. There are at least a couple of states, including South Carolina, are open primary states, meaning Democrats can go vote in the Republican primary. And when Democrats go to vote in the Republican primary, they, of course, vote for Nikki Haley or for anybody else to make it look like Donald Trump is doing worse than he actually is, right? Now, are those people going to vote for Donald Trump on Election Day? We can hope, and we should probably expect that people that are registered Republicans will vote for the Republican nominee on Election Day. But there's a lot of monkey wrenching going on out there, isn't there? And also keep in mind, Jonathan, that Nikki Haley says, I won 40% of the vote. You lost 60% of the vote, and you're not doing that great. You're just being the anti-Trump person. Now, when President Trump is the nominee and we're going from the convention to Election Day, I'd like to think that President Trump will be focused on policy. And I was at a speech, my best girl and I were at a speech at CPAC last Saturday, and he was great, but it wasn't a campaign speech. It was a stand-up comedy routine, and it was funny. It was funny if you're already a supporter of President Trump. But if you're not, you want to see a campaign speech and talk about what you're going to do for taxes and the economy and the border and war and peace and all of that. And I would like to see President Trump be a bit more disciplined after the convention. I'll say that out loud for sure.
Agreed. All right, you have a great day.
That's it. You agree with that? You'd like to see President Trump be a bit more disciplined once we get past the convention?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would like to. I'd like to see that. And look, I mean, he's great. He's a very successful president for 4 years. I expect he'll be a very successful president again. I'd like to see him bring in millions more people to vote for him, even though he got more votes than any incumbent president ever. He got more votes than any Republican president ever. But Joe Biden got more votes than any candidate ever because of, in all probability, mail-out ballots, ballot harvesting, ballot box stuffing, surgical gloves, changes in laws on a county level in Pennsylvania to voting laws, which is unconstitutional, violates the Pennsylvania state constitution. But they do all of these things. And we have a news media that goes off and cheats on their wives and cheats on their taxes and cheats on their expense reports and then lies to us, as Laura Logan was pointing out earlier. Crazy times in America and in American politics. All right, now let's go to some audio. Let's get back to, thank you, Jonathan. Thank you. Have a great Colorado day. Too many crazy people out there, and they're all Democrats. They loot, they steal, they burn. They're arsonists. Whack-a-doodle-doo. Now, there are so many illegal alien stories, and there are, we have the crazy Capitol Hill Russia people. Let's see. Let's get to because Hunter Biden is on Capitol Hill. Let's go to everybody's a Russian spy first. I've been playing lots of stuff for you. John Brennan, the communist voting CIA director under Barack Obama, who was also mentored by a communist named Frank Marshall Davis. I know it's crazy. Oh, sure, they're a communist. No, they actually are. In fact, the self-immolating lunatic at the Israeli embassy on Sunday, he was a member, he's dead now, because he killed himself by setting himself on fire, which is not a rational act. He was a member of an anarcho-communist I'm not sure what order to put that in. We'll have to ask a Democrat. Is it an anarcho-communist gay group online, or is it a gay anarcho-communist group online? They called each other comrade and all this crazy stuff. And he's being praised in these socialist online publications and so on. Pretty crazy stuff. He was a radical left-wing extremist and gay activist, and he gave away his cat before he went and self-immolated. Had a going-away party for him. I'm not sure they knew how going away he was going to go, but absolutely crazy. Oh, yeah, and before, I want to get to the Russia stuff and then the border stuff, but because the illegal aliens contend, especially from Venezuela, the Venezuelan crime wave. But listen to this. This was buried in the Washington Post today like it's no big deal. Sudanese, this is in Sudan in Africa, Sudanese militiamen, there's a civil war going on there that nobody cares about. There are no calls for ceasefire because it's black Africans, and Democrats abort 40% of the black population here in the United States. And they're the party of slavery and the bullwhip and lynching and the KKK and Jim Crow and standing in schoolhouse doors, the Democrat Party. But here it is. Sudanese militiamen carry out wave of abductions, seeking slaves and ransom. Well, the Muslims in Hamas in the Gaza are also kidnapping and raping and holding for ransom. But back to Sudan. Sudanese militiamen, black Africans, they're carrying out a wave of abductions seeking slaves. That's right. Slavery is alive and well in Africa today, and paramilitary fighters battling the country's army. That means, Democrats, right? Are they? If they were here, they'd vote Democrat, and the Democrats would welcome them. Now, paramilitary, that means, gangs of armed criminals are kidnapping people, and they're holding them and selling them as slaves because slavery is alive and well in Africa. In fact, I believe that slavery is alive and well in at least 5 different African countries. When I saw the story in the Washington Post today, I went and I grabbed it online for you, put it in our stories sheet, which we sent out today as well. But I went and grabbed another story from September of 2022, so about a year and a half ago. And it's NPR, National Panhandler Radio, WAMU. They just fired everybody, didn't they, at WAMU? W American University, Taxpayer Teach Radio, and National Panhandler Radio, about a year and a half ago, under the heading Goats and Soda, for no explainable reason. No region is immune as the number of people in modern slavery climbs to 50 million. 2022, September, NPR. The number of people currently enslaved in the world has grown by 10 million in the last 5 years, researchers from Geneva reported. And the UN's International Organization for Migration, that's what they call it, partnered with the International Labor Organization, left-wingers, and the Walk Free Foundation, a human rights group, to produce the latest estimates of modern slavery. 50 million people were estimated to be living in slavery today. And modern slavery, there are more slaves, there are more people living as slaves today than at any point in the history of the world. And the Democrats could care less. They don't care. Amazing stuff. So I want to share the slavery story with you because Democrats don't care. And there's a civil war in Sudan, Black Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, and Democrats don't care. And more than 50% of Sub-Saharan Africa has no electricity, and Democrats don't care. The Democrats might as well be the mercenaries kidnapping people in Sudan and selling them into slavery. Now let's get to other Democrat news because you know how they are. Democrats on Capitol Hill. Let's go to Jamie Raskin, the radical left-wing extremist. He's a pirate, and he's the Lost Marx brother. You know, the Marx Brothers, great classic motion pictures from the black and white days. Jamie Raskin could, if you're going to make a movie about the Marx Brothers, you want to have Jamie Raskin in there as one of the Marx Brothers. And he's on Capitol Hill today. Hunter Biden was subpoenaed by the Congress. He ignored it back in December. He went to Capitol Hill to mock the Congress, and he was not arrested. He was not charged with contempt of Congress because our government is an idiocracy, and we have Republicans that were born without spines, like Mr. Lubner, who invented the slinky. But that's not important. Here's Jamie Raskin.
This has been a comedy of errors from the beginning. All of the revelations that are in the legal pleadings filed by David Weiss now give a very strong whiff of a Russian intelligence operation.
David Weiss is the U.S. attorney from Delaware, and who was suggested to Donald Trump by the two left-wing Democrat senators in Delaware. President Trump made him U.S. attorney there, and it's a whiff of Russian. This goes back to, now, you know what was Russian disinformation? The John Brennan intelligence letters signed by 51. They tampered in our election on behalf of Vladimir Putin's favored candidate, that's Joe Biden. The Democrat Party is so close on the political spectrum to Vladimir Putin that there's almost no daylight between them. Honestly, you'd need a crowbar to separate them. Amazing stuff. So there it is. And they're always calling everybody Russian agents, right? Jamie Raskin, left-wing radical extremist terrorist. I'm just dialing up the language like they do. And so he was on Capitol Hill just a short time ago because Hunter Biden is up on Capitol Hill. And David Weiss, you read this and it's Russian whatever. This is about censorship. This is about jailing their political enemies and putting them in prisons north of the Arctic Circle where they will die. They are the Soviet Union living among us. Now we have Eric Swalwell, who literally is a Chinese intelligence stooge who was recruited by Fang Fang, a literal Chinese secret agent sent to the United States to recruit Democrats. It worked, and the news media and the Democrat Party, and for that matter, the idiots in the Republican Party, have just let this drop. He was having sex with Fang Fang, kind of cute, Chinese operative honeypot sent to the United States to recruit Democrats, and it worked because she recruited a city councilman in California and helped him raise funds, get elected to the House of Representatives in Washington, get on to the Intelligence Committee, and the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi and all of them, are fine with this. By the way, the Democrat Senator Dianne Feinstein had a Chinese intelligence operative on her San Francisco office staff for almost 20 years before the FBI knocked on her door and said, oh yeah, this guy on your staff is a Chinese intelligence agent, and then we act like it's no big deal. Here is Fang Fang's boyfriend, Eric Swalwell.
They've got nothing. That's what we just witnessed for the last hour. One of their witnesses has been indicted for working with Russian intelligence. Another witness has been indicted for working with Chinese intelligence.
Yeah. The irony, they have no sense of irony. And if there were any reporters there who had a brain and an interest in what is true, they might say, I'm sorry, Congressman, didn't you have a years-long affair with a Chinese intelligence operative that goes by the name Fang Fang that moved you from a California City Council seat to the Intelligence Committee in the White House in the House of Representatives? But nobody asked that question. The temerity of this man, extraordinary.
The Russians see the Republican lawmakers as tools.
That's it.
They are so willing to accept anything, and the Russians use information operations very effectively.
The communist voter, John Brennan, who's a communist. You know, once a commie, always a commie, I always say. And John Brennan literally voted for Gus Hall, the Communist Party candidate for president of the United States, and then Barack Obama made him CIA director, and then he corrupted the CIA and tampered in our presidential election. And he comes out and he lies, and they call everybody Russian stooges. And this is all because they're protecting the Biden family. It's downfield defense for Joe Biden and the Biden family. I have so many things to get to, but I've practically run out the clock on myself, haven't I? That's not 3 minutes. I don't have no 3 minutes. It's crazy. Nancy Mace this morning talking about, the FBI, they insisted that their confidential source in Ukraine was credible and reliable, and they paid him hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they kept him on the staff, on the payroll for more than 10 years. And of course, he's pumping Russians for information. He's in Ukraine for the lava. And then, like 2 years after he tells them that the Biden family collected millions of dollars from Ukraine, they slap the cuffs on him at Harry Reid International Airport, throw him in jail without bail. He can't talk to anyone. He's going to end up dying in a jail north of the Arctic Circle. And the Democrats will accuse him of being a Russian mole. That's their new talking point.